What's up, grapplers? I'm Brandon Quick, co-owner of the American Grappling Federation and host of today's podcast, brought to you in part by the Grappling Network and the guys at USA Grappling. And I am here with Dr. Ivan Rascon, right?
Yes.
Said that correct? I want to introduce him as a training partner. He trains jiu-jitsu and overheard me talking on the mats because I was talking about carnivore diet.
Yes.
And he said, "Oh, you're on the carnivore diet." I was like, yeah. That was about it, though.
Yeah.
You didn't lead on to too much more. I think I was training and still stuff, too. It wasn't full conversation. Next couple times I train, he tells me he's been on the carnivore diet for 5+ years. Next couple times I train, I realize he's a doctor. And then he said, did I say this right? Gastroenterologist?
Gastroenterologist, yeah.
GI, okay.
That's easier.
I practiced that like 10 times before I walked in. Still didn't work. And so on top, he's a stomach doctor on a carnivore diet and trains. And I was like, look, I've watched a lot of YouTubes. I've watched a lot of videos. I watched people document, and I've watched doctors, and I've watched a lot of couple people. But I haven't seen anyone that trains that's on it, that's a stomach doctor, that prescribes it. You're a lot of things to check off the list there, like... I may have you on the podcast, but don't be surprised if Joe calls me. You know what I'm saying?
Anytime.
But, man, so I guess just started off, tell us a little bit about your, should I just kick off 1,000 questions? Let me let you talk for a little bit too, though.
So, I started initially about 10 years ago as a overweight, pre-diabetic, sleep apnea. My wife would wake me up in the middle of the night because I'd stopped breathing. Blood pressure was high, blood sugar was creeping up. My labs were looking quite worrisome. I was only 37 years old at the time. And I started experimenting with different diets. I knew I had to lose weight. I knew I had to get healthy. So I started with the vegan diet. I saw a documentary called Forks Over Knives and tried the vegan diet. Yeah. I did lose a couple of pounds, but I found that it was a lot of carbohydrates. I was eating a lot of, you can't get full on leaves. You can't get full on spinach. You can't get full on cabbage and broccoli. You have to eat something more substantiating. And it turns out that I ended up, just potatoes and rice and bread, and my blood sugar started going up. I started gaining more weight, and just didn't feel great. I was playing soccer with some friends on the weekends, and I'd get hurt a lot. I'd pull muscles, and I realized that that wasn't going to work. Before that, I was doing just the standard, usual recommendations that most doctors tell their patients. Eat less, move more, follow the traditional dietary guidelines like the food pyramid or the My Plate, back in those times. And I realized that I needed to do some real deeper research than what I had been taught both in medical school, what I'd been telling my patients to do.
Were you a stomach doctor at this time already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This was 10 years ago, or 13 years ago. Anyway, at that time, I basically got into the keto diet, and I had found a website called dietdoctor.com. And I had seen that a lot of people were having good results with weight loss and, reversing their diabetes and reversing their high blood pressure. And so I got into that. And it was very successful. I lost a lot of weight. And I remember, drinking fat coffee, the bulletproof coffee. And that was very, very good to lose weight. My hunger... I was always hungry, and that hunger just fell asleep. I wasn't hungry again for a long time, and just would eat. And I would eat not because I was hungry, but because I needed to have energy. After about 5 years of doing that, I started, actually before that, I started prescribing it to some of my patients because it worked so well for me that I started prescribing it to some of my patients and got really good results. But there was a subgroup of patients who were not getting better despite following all the instructions of the keto diet. And these patients had some autoimmune conditions, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis.
I have a very good friend in the jiu-jitsu industry named Olivia that has Crohn's disease. She suffered with it for a long time.
Yes, I got even deeper and deeper into this whole alternative way of treating patients with diet, lifestyle, exercise, monitoring the quality of your sleep, intermittent fasting, monitoring your diet with a continuous, your blood sugars with a continuous blood sugar monitor. And all these things were things that I learned about through. They're not in medical books. You really have to kind of.
That's where my brain is
Yeah.
going during this like while you're talking. I'm like, do they not push you towards, or not push you, but educate doctors in the sense of they don't educate
Yeah.
them on some of these diets and or different opportunities that
It's
affect the body
almost,
that way?
today when I think about it, I'm almost embarrassed to say that most of the doctor's education is coming from the pharmaceutical industry. This is after we graduate from medical school and we are sitting in our office seeing patients. A drug rep will come, offer lunch for all the employees, and sit down with the doctor and say, hey, have you seen the latest research? And this is research that's been paid for and conducted by the same pharmaceutical industry. This is the latest and greatest medicine. You see commercials on TV that kind of the patients come in asking for the medicine that's on TV, and so you get two forces: the patients, and you get the drug reps who are telling you this is the latest and greatest, and you see these published articles in very important medical journals, which are also paid for by the same pharmaceutical industry.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because to be honest, that's my angle on a lot of the problems with why people don't, or why it's better for you and not being publicized, and is because they're quieting it down. They're shutting it down. And I personally have done investigation as much as I can online in terms of like the sugar companies. Once they got involved, that's when everything changed for us in terms of the American diet and the food pyramid, and like the doctors that did those tests that were funded by the sugar companies, that now this is bad and this is good, and everything starts going backwards to now what they're saying is good for us now. It's atrocious.
Exactly.
And we know that, truthfully, and you're an immigrant, as we were talking about before, originally from Guatemala. You've been around the world. I've been around the world. We both know that the American food system is not like the rest of the world. And as much as Americans like go to Cancun for the weekend, they truly don't get that they're killing us.
Exactly.
And they're doing it through media. Yes, so I don't want to get too riled up, but I think that's a big part of the problem. It's good that you say that, though. That us doctors are not being educated in the correct way either. Sorry. So, anyways, but yes.
Exactly. So, it's true. The things that the same foods that are banned in Europe and in Japan, are allowed here in the U.S. And when people want to ban these things, brominated vegetable oil. You've got these colorants which are associated with cancer, like red and yellow. You've got carrageenan, which disrupts the lining of the gut. It kind of works like a detergent on the lining of the gut and allows this leaky gut. 10 years ago, leaky gut.
What is that chemical?
So leaky gut, 10 years ago, if you would have went to a medical conference and said, oh, I think I have leaky gut, they would have laughed you out of the room. But now you actually go to these conferences and they are talking about leaky gut now. And so what is leaky gut? Leaky gut, in the intestine, you have bacteria that help digest food, and it's called the microbiome. But you have a layer of mucus in your intestine. You also have a layer of cells which separate these bacteria from your bloodstream, basically. And certain foods disrupt, that lining, disrupt that mucus and that lining, and allow these bacteria to penetrate into the bloodstream and create low-grade inflammation. And these things are used as emulsifiers, preservatives, stuff that and even some spices which we think are you know,
Good.
are good. Like for example, pepper, right? You think pepper is, the pepper is also known as piperine or piperine. They add it to turmeric. You know, if you ever see a bottle of turmeric, it says with piperine or piperine. And what that does is it disrupts the lining and allows better absorption of the turmeric. But when you disrupt the lining and you do it too often, then that allows not just bacteria, but also proteins like peanut protein, which the body recognizes as foreign and can lead to basically an autoimmune reaction. And that's where you get more peanut allergies. Right? Why are there more peanut allergies now than what there were, 20, 30 years ago?
100%.
You know, and we're seeing more allergies
It's not people coming up with things and because we have to do with politics with a lot of this stuff, right? And a lot of people are like getting labeled, and it's always this or that and this and that, and there's so many things where it's like, dude, this wasn't going on, and it's not like, oh, my generation was tougher.
Really,
no, it's because I grew up on peanut butter and jelly. That's what it was, right? And then you start having problems down the road.
Exactly. I do have a lot of patients who come to me who have been labeled as crazy by other doctors. Oh, this person, he's just or she is just a crazy Karen. They don't know what they're talking about. They think there's something wrong, but there's nothing wrong. All the tests come back normal. But most people know how they feel. They know that there's a point where they were feeling great, and all of a sudden they're not feeling great anymore. So something's going on here.
I'm not a what do you call it? A dietitian, and I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not any of that. Mm-hmm. But I've been around D1 level athletes. I've been around UFC fighters. I've trained high level jiu-jitsu black belts, and been around a lot of people that are super high level athletes as well too. I've been around the Atkins diet and the Dolce diet, and from pescatarian to keto. Like I've been around that, educated on that, understand that as well too. But carnivore is just different, like for real. And I have zero inflammation in my hands, like because of training striking and then jiu-jitsu for so long. Like I couldn't grab a door handle without feeling some inflammation in my hand and shoulder and elbow, and and I would get out. I lived on a foam roller like day in and day out. Get out of bed. My lady's making fun of me because I roll out of bed and I'm trying to get my. And now I realize, dang, it was the sugar, and for sure, and I know I dropped weight, but my goal wasn't to drop weight. My grandparents had cardio problems, died heart attacks and whatnot. Okay. My dad has an open heart surgery, so I was the type of person, if you had some crazy meat like ostrich or something, sure, we're gonna get down. But generally, I was kind of pescatarian, if you want to give it a label, right? I was vegetarian, but ate fish here and there. Just kind of shied away from red meat. Didn't abandon it entirely, but shied away from it. And then I saw so much the science behind the videos and the education and of the carnivore diet, talking about triglycerides and LDL and HDL, and understanding that stuff before, because the people cholesterol. I get on it. I don't know how many people say, "What's your cholesterol?" Like, as soon as I'm like, dude, you haven't done it, nothing, no research, like there. So, my question to you though, because I feel it almost is. Do you feel like this is the fountain of youth? Do you feel like it's the best thing out there?
I think that it is the perfect elimination diet. So when a patient comes to me with allergies or GI intestinal issues, inflammation, one of the things that's been tried and true in patients with Crohn's, in patients with certain conditions like eosinophilic esophagitis, patients with certain arthritic problems, autoimmune conditions. I use the carnivore diet as a tool for treatment of these inflammatory reactions that occur in the body. And the reason I like it is because it is the perfect elimination diet, because you're eliminating everything except the most nutrient-dense foods, which provide all the nutrients, minerals, fats, energy, building blocks for building muscle. All your neurotransmitters are in your brain or from protein. And so you're eliminating everything, but you're actually not skimping on all the necessary vitamins, minerals, micronutrients that you need to function appropriately. And so that's why I really like it as an elimination diet. And I've had great success in treating a lot of patients. Mind you, I would say about 50% of my patients are able to stick to a true carnivore diet. The rest will, I'll have some who can halfway do it, and then a small number who really just can't do it and say they feel miserable. So, there is not a one size fits all, or maybe they just didn't try it long enough, because there is a transition period when you start the carnivore diet. You initially can feel weak, tired, especially if you're not fat adapted. If you're not fat adapted and you've been eating all kinds of sugar, and you all of a sudden eliminate sugar, then it's like going through withdrawals. It's like a heroin addict that stops injecting heroin, and it's going to be hell for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I didn't experience much.
Did you transition from keto, or were you just?
No, I didn't really stick to keto or do keto. I just try to live a healthier lifestyle and just stay away from. No, I wouldn't stay away necessarily. I love Nutella. And like I could chow on some Nutella with the kids in the kitchen,
Yeah.
peanut M&Ms. Gosh, I mean, look at some of those carcinogens up in there. Yeah, and I don't do any of that anymore. But it really is a trip, because if you look, there's so many variables with me and with other people on diets, right? My variables are wife and 4 kids in the house of all different ages, trying to adapt me on the barbecue all the time, and then eating with them or not. Like, how do I help mom out and make a meal? Or I just go out and make myself steaks, and then everyone's like, "What are we eating for dinner, Dad?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I got my steak." So like, you have to adapt to that, And then it is a trip though, because I go in my pantry, and my dad came over the other day, and someone said, "Go grab this," and I'm like, "Dude, I don't even go in my pantry. Like, what would I go in there for?" Like, it's just filled with, snacks and foods and chips and stuff like that, like any pantry would, with kids and that kind of stuff. But so that was my variable, having a family and how to get along to that. And then because I travel internationally so much, and I'm actually not worried about eating carnivore there, because how really in other countries you can order meat by itself easier, I feel, than you can in the States. I have to like you can get 250 grams of a steak in Europe, like anywhere in a restaurant, so I can do something like that. I was worried about the 9 hours of travel all the time from the last time I ate in Tampa till I flew to a couple of weeks. I go to Rotterdam, then I go to Poland. That's a 10-hour something flight from Tampa to Frankfurt, and then Frankfurt to Poland. So can I do that, or am I going to be kicking myself in and out of ketosis? Is what I'm getting at. And I have to deal with that when I'm there, and then I have to do it when I come back, or should I just cheat the whole time I'm there? And, so that's kind of my obstacles. But I do great. I travel with boiled eggs and beef jerky.
Okay.
That's about as much, and you can get those at the airport, like the Hudson News, like the little grocery stands, whatever.
It's actually not that if you really put your mind to it, you could actually. It's not that hard to do. It's quite simple.
It's super simple.
Yeah.
Once you get the hang of it, like my first month, I did like shrimp, and I like exotic stuff too. So I was eating like corazón de pollo, and like the wife's like, "What are you cooking?" Chicken hearts.
Chicken hearts.
But the big shrimp. But like we talked about the other day, I got debt lobsters right here, and you probably go there too.
Yeah,
that's just like people from all over Tampa come. For you guys that are watching, it's really it's like a farm to market, like custom place, and people from all over the Bay drive around. Every time I'm there, and people are just, "Oh my goodness, y'all are so lucky to live here. It's really cool." So I buy my meat there. And eventually I had to find, I had so many people trying to recommend bone
broth.
Bone broth. Are you big on this? Tell me about the personal diet. Do you just like add stuff like that? We talked about cheeses slightly. I like cheese right now. And take away cheese from me.
So there is a group of people who are, who have intolerance to dairy. Not necessarily just there's intolerance, and then there's actual allergy or reaction, autoimmune reactions to dairy. So if you can eat dairy and not have any arthritis and not have any GI issues, then great. I think it's doable. Preferably the fermented cheeses, or cheeses that have live cultures within them, like the blue cheese, and the more the kind of cheeses that have all the active live cultures in them. The ones that are processed cheeses, you probably want to avoid. The aged cheeses are okay too. Some people can't tolerate aged cheeses. Some people get migraines from eating aged cheeses.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um,
Aged cheese is a super common thing when I go to Europe.
yeah. No, I mean, it's a lot of people can eat it, but then there's a few people who just can't. So we have to kind of there's not a one size fits all diet.
Yeah.
Some people can eat the carnivore with fruits. Some people eat carnivore without having to eat any
I still don't understand that
any
though, on
organs.
the science side of it. I'll just
Yeah.
admit I'm kind of naive on
So-
that. Like, how can I be on the carnivore diet and then eat the sugars of fruits and then not
Yeah.
kick myself?
I think I look at it from an evolutionary standpoint. Like human beings, we were for hundreds of thousands of years we were hunter gatherers, and we are opportunistic eaters. If we had the choice between uh, a bundle of celery or the leg of a pig, I think 99% would go for the leg of a pig. It's during the hunter-gatherer times. I don't know about today, but I think that if you go to any tribal nation, tribal people around the world, there's a lot more energy, protein, nutrients in a piece of meat than there is in a bunch of leaves or a salad, right? And it's not as satisfying. You're going to be hungry. You're not going to. We prefer to eat innately or internally. That's what we gravitate towards, is the more energy dense and vitamin rich foods. And so I think that that's that's the best, in my opinion, the best way to go. But some
You
people,
think it's good for long term? Can I do this for 40 years?
I think so, because there are natural experiments that occurred in nature with humans who, for example, the Inuit people in Alaska and northern Canada and Greenland, basically all they live off of is whale fat and fish, and walrus and seal and whatever else they can kill, because there's no vegetables, there's no fruits there. But if you go to the Amazonian Indians, they live in a practical Garden of Eden. But if you think about fruit is available to us only in certain times of the year. They're not around year round,
You're
right?
right.
So your great grandparents would eat fruit when it was in season, but there was no blueberries in the dead of winter, right?
But
But-
that got artificially grown.
Exactly. We got stuff that comes from South America, or we got stuff that's grown in greenhouses here in the U.S. In the dead of winter, you can actually eat fruit every single day. And the commercials that tell you, oh, you got to eat fruit, 6 servings of fruit a day, every day for the rest of your life. I mean, it's really not healthy for you, and it's not natural. It's not consistent with our natural evolution. And, there are some studies that show that people who eat a lot of fruit have more inflammation, and fruit feeds the type of bacteria in the intestine that also disrupt the gut lining and can create leaky gut. And so eating too much fruit constantly all the time is not so beneficial. But it is okay. I mean, I think that it is okay if you look at it from an evolutionary standpoint. If apples are in season, or blueberries are in season, and you want to have some blueberries, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, unless you have a reaction to that fruit, unless you're allergic to it. For some reason, at some point in my life, I just can't eat any fruit that have pits in them. Like if I eat peaches or cherries, my lips will start itching, my tongue will start itching. And this is something new that happened to me.
Yeah, my son started saying that the roof of his mouth itches when he eats bananas.
There you go.
It's really weird.
Could be a banana allergy. And then
He's
again,
a kid. What do you think of kids on? He's 11 years
Yeah.
old, about to be 12 tomorrow. What do you think of kids on carnivore?
so I think that a kid who eats a balanced, when I say balanced carnivore diet, I mean that they have to have some organ meat in there and some egg yolk in there, and some seafood like fatty fish like sardines and salmon, because those are rich in omega-3. Egg yolks have a lot of vitamins, choline, that's very necessary. Liver is high in all the B vitamins, copper. You know, you get plenty of zinc from the muscle meat. So if a kid is eating a good balanced carnivore diet, uh, and they have the will and the desire to do it, you know, I think that's way better than eating Lucky Charms. You
For
know,
sure.
I think I really have a problem with somebody who says, "Oh, how dare you put your kid on a carnivore diet?" But then they're giving their kid Lucky Charms and Pop Tarts and Rice Krispies. I think uh, that's, in my opinion, it's
Way
pretty.
worse.
It's way worse.
Wait, you just don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're creating way more damage, fatty
It's
liver,
I've done, and
obesity.
it's just a layman's
Yeah.
science test, but I can put different food in front of my kids, from my 10-month to 2.5 to my 12-year-old to my 14-year-old. If I put the different foods out, they choose the steak.
Yeah, of course.
They do.
It's
And
in our DNA.
2-year-old, juicy steak, Dad,
Yeah.
juicy steak. He doesn't want
Yeah.
medium rare. He wants a juicy. Or,
Yeah.
he wants
He
it
does it
rare.
well cooked. He
Yeah,
likes it
but,
nice.
he wants a juicy juice. You
Yeah.
know, he likes the fatty parts too.
Yeah.
He likes the fatty parts. I used to cut off all the fat.
Me too.
Now we run off the fat. And people don't get that. Like, I don't know if you saw my post on Facebook. I went to go buy some pants yesterday. I'm normally at 36.
Uh-huh.
And I was at 34 for sure, but I was 33 pulling my pants. I was like, I'm not 33, but the pants aren't long enough. I'm a tall dude, so I couldn't get like 33, 34s.
Okay.
You know? So I settled with getting the 34s or one size bigger, but it was like, this is a trip. I got to get all new pants, you know?
Yeah.
My lady's looking at my shirt. She's like, dude, you don't wear XLs anymore. I'm telling you, you're large, but I'm tall, so it's hard. I don't want the shirts to go, but it is noticeable. And I only really noticed that when I cut weight before for matches or whatnot, and I was stayed, generally healthy. But there's been a few times in my life where I got heavier for, I don't know, 6 months, year and a half, who knows, but you let yourself go. I used to drink Belgian beer real big.
Yeah.
I don't drink alcohol anymore for 4 years, but like on top of all the alcohols, Belgian beer is like quadruple
Yeah.
malt.
And they're
sugar,
also
you
they're
know?
wheat based, you know. I think
Dude,
they're wheat.
Michelin man, I was looking, so
It's very inflammatory.
yes, for sure. And so, in terms of jujitsu, and I skateboard on the side as a second exercise. I
Yeah.
don't lift, but I do train, and I got into some conversations with people about energy.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions? Because I feel like I can go train.
Yeah.
And I can go, like, depending on when I eat, and I can go do a skate session and be a dad that's like up from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. with kids and just be active and working. And my energy is way different. It's not even comparable. It's not a sale on out,
Yeah.
like it's incomparable. But I was having a conversation about energy spikes,
Yeah.
right? Like if I were to go lift weights, or if I were to go to compete, or if I were to be a sprinter and wanted to, or just because some people in the workout world or the martial art world are used to energy drinks or boosters, or
exactly.
even just a little bit of extra sugar, and then they train real hard for that, giving
Yeah.
that spike. I don't even know if that's a bad mentality, or do you think that there's some version of that in the carnivore world that we could do, or is it bad to eat a bunch of berries at that time?
I think that you really have to get adapted to it. I think that we have the capacity to do explosive sports or high intensity, training for short periods of time, just like the sprinters. When you're on a carnivore diet, you can do it. It's not something that you can do immediately when you transition from a regular diet to a carnivore diet. There's gonna be a transition period that your body has to adapt to. But we have glycogen in our muscles, which is a type of sugar. Even if you only eat meat and fat, and you're eating absolutely no carbohydrates, your body can turn both fat and protein and turn them into sugar, and that can be stored in your muscles as glycogen. So you can perform explosive sports and high intensity activities, short bursts of explosive activities, if you are on a carnivore diet. Or a keto diet for that matter. But the thing is that there has to be an adaptation period. It can't just happen immediately from day one after initiating, or the first couple of weeks. Your body has to transition. You have to make there are these organelles in each cell of our body called mitochondria. These are the fat burning organelles that are inside of our cells. and they use fat in fact, some scientists measure the number of mitochondria per cell as a marker of your age, your biological age, or basically your youth. The more mitochondria in each cell, the younger you are in biological. So there's biological age and chronological age. So I'm 50, but if you check my mitochondria, I could be 5 years younger, 2 years younger. I could be 2 years older. It depends on, one of the measures that they use is the number of mitochondria inside of each cell. And when you are a fat burner, you are forced to make more mitochondria because that's where fat gets utilized as energy. And so, I think that when you said, is the carnivore diet the fountain of youth? I think that the carnivore, the keto diets, fat-centric diets, when done appropriately, can be a fountain of youth. When I say appropriately, obviously calories count. So, and if you overdo the fat and you have way too many calories, more than you're expending or more than what your body needs, whether it's protein, fat, sugar, when you overdo it with anything, then then that's bad too.
What's your opinion on cheat? Have you cheated? Like have you just gone like bombed
Yeah,
into some chocolate cake?
I'm not perfect. I mean, I have a philosophy which is.
And while you answer, I'm gonna take my phone and look on the live that I ask questions. People are gonna ask you. Okay.
All right, cool.
So tell us.
My philosophy is that the same thing with alcohol. Alcohol is a poison, and I know that it's a poison. So if I am going to poison myself, it better be a very damn special occasion. It's got to be a really, really good reason for me to poison myself. And that's the way I look at alcohol. And if I'm gonna poison myself, it's gonna be the highest quality, most expensive stuff, and it's gonna be very rarely, extremely rarely. And the same thing I see is with food as well. If I am gonna cheat, and it's got to be a very special occasion, it's got to be an anniversary or my father's 80th birthday, and he wants me to have a piece of cake with him. I mean, I'm not gonna say no. But it's got to be.
I was just gonna say. That's the first question that popped up.
Yeah.
What happens if I cheat on a diet, like a party or a wedding? Can I eat cake?
The other most important thing about this is basically screwing up for only one day, making sure that if you're gonna mess up, that it only happens one day
For an occasion, not for a week or something.
Tomorrow you wake up and you have two options. You can say, oh hell, I screwed up, I might as well keep on screwing up. Or today's a new day, let's start over, let's get back on the diet, get back on the bandwagon, and and do good. Sometimes some people can tolerate 2-3 days of being bad, but after the fourth day, some people can't even handle one meal of being bad, and the next day they feel like crap.
I cheated the first time I did it. I did 4 weeks straight pure beef.
Yeah.
And carnivore, no
Meat, salt, and water.
Yeah, no cheese, no milk in the espresso or anything. Just did black tea, water. I've actually hated carbonated water forever, but now that's one of my things. So I'm able to carbonated water all the time. I came in with a carbonated water, I'm like, oh yeah, something. And so I did that so that because I had a lot of friends that have added fruits, added honey, added cheese, added milk, and then different variations. So I was like, all right, well, I want 4 solid weeks of this with meat only, so I can feel what it's like, and then I'll add something slowly and be able to see how my body reacts to it or that kind of stuff. And so that's how I added that. I do add. I feel like when I feel hungry, maybe at night, if I pop like some Parmesan chips, and I'm good. Like add some cheese real quick, and then I can sleep, and I'll be good till the next morning. I don't know if it's just the extra fat. Maybe I ate too lean of a meat that day or something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I don't feel like it messes me up physically or anything like that. Let me read off one of these questions and wrap it up. I have a feeling this is going to have to be a multi-part thing. We'll come back with more. What happens if you cheat on a party? Is it safe in the long run? 5+ years. We already talked about that. Will I ever stop craving other food?
I think so. Yeah, I mean that happened to me. Like I can walk by a box of donuts and not have a desire to touch them. Yesterday I was at a meeting, and they had 20 boxes of pizza, all different types, high quality pizza, really good quality New York style pizza, and I just didn't touch a single piece. In fact, I brought a couple slices home for Grandma, who's staying with us these couple months. She loved that stuff. And of course, she's 97. If she wants a slice of pizza,
It's
she
hers.
gets whatever she wants.
Yes, ma'am.
But to me, I don't have a desire to eat pizza. Initially, those cravings eventually will go away. Uh, Especially if you fall off the wagon and you feel miserable the next couple of days after you ate that slice of pizza, then that'll be kind of like a reminder that you shouldn't fall off the wagon. Now, I mean, some people can eat all the bread they want and they have absolutely no problems. But then on the other hand, if you're looking for health, if you want to get rid of your gut, if you want to get rid of your man boobs, if you want to be sharp mentally,
If you want to get rid of your man boobs, if you want to get rid of your man boobs, go see Dr. Ivan and get on the carnivore diet. That was the best line of the show right there. That was funny. That's excellent, man. And so you prescribe it to a ton of people.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of success.
I've had
How
success.
many people you think you prescribe it to?
I would say at least one person a day for the last 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so you got hundreds of people.
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
I've had a lot of people. I've gotten rid of, patients who have been on Nexium and Prilosec and these acid reflux pills for years. After
Yes.
they get on this diet,
Yes.
that goes away. I've had,
People don't get how serious that is. And
it's
I wanted to
horrible.
touch on one other thing because I have a lot of friends and a father, but a lot of friends my age who should not have sleep apnea. You talked about sleep
Exactly.
apnea in the beginning. That's the one thing. Like
It's
I haven't-
reversible.
It's reversible. My dad unfortunately had that surgery where they take out.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I haven't been able to sleep on my back without snoring. I sleep on my back every night now. I always had to be a side
side
sleeper,
sleeper,
chest
yeah.
down because I was snoring. Like that went away. I had alopecia. I had bald spots in my
Yeah.
beard. Started going. I had to shave my beard a certain way for a long time. Now that's growing back. When you go see a dermatologist, they will tell you, I don't know
Yeah.
how it works. I don't know when it's going to stop. I don't
Or
know how
take
bad
this.
it's going to be.
Take
Or-
this medicine.
but we don't know when it's going to end.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang. I've actually ran into dudes with serious alopecia in the jiu-jitsu and MMA industry, but also just random people at airports. And I'm like, get on the carnivore diet because I'm not the only person that's had that, And the autoimmune, I have family members with the autoimmune. I want them to listen to this, so many people don't really. We have been programmed to think that so many of these things are just going to be there in our bodies for life,
Yes.
and they don't think that they can go away.
I remember during my residency, one of my professors telling a patient that you're diabetic, type 2 diabetic, and this is it. You've got it for the rest of your life, and it's only going to get worse, and there's nothing you can do about it. And today, I wish I could sit down and have a chat with him and tell him that's wrong. It's reversible. I've reversed many patients with type 2 diabetes.
Yes, we got to come back to our multiple episodes. We'll talk your ear off, and we'll go with more success stories, more things, just to put it out there more. But
Sure.
also any other diets you think are good for other people. Like you said, it's not for
not a one-size-fits-all.
100%. Yeah. Any last words or anything like that before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I want to get out there to people is that if you want to get started on a healthy diet, a lot of doctors will tell you, just move more, eat less. But I think that the most important thing that you can do is get rid of processed foods. If it's got a list of ingredients in the back, a long list of ingredients, if it's got ingredients that you can't even pronounce or that were made in a laboratory that you can't find in nature, stay away from it. I think that that's probably step one for anybody who wants to start a healthy lifestyle. There's a lot more things to talk about. But I think step one for everybody, including kids, stay away from junk that has preservatives, chemicals, stuff that you can't pronounce, stuff that you don't know where it came from. If you don't know what it is, stay away from it. And I think that will be the first step in a journey of health for everybody.
Sounds good. Thank you for listening. We will come back with multiple parts. Like I said, we trained together in Florida, so you'll hear back with more episodes. And again, shout out to the Grappling Network and the guys helping us with the podcast. And what's your dog's name here?
Chewy.
Chewy! Chewy was part of the podcast for a minute. And so thanks for everything, and we'll see you guys on the next one.